The sky burned with red and orange light as the children walked across the rocky valley. Each step felt heavy, and every sound behind them made them jump. The ground was still warm from the explosion that had happened only an hour earlier. Smoke curled up from broken metal, and the smell of burnt wires filled the air. Two small figures moved through the haze, Lyra and Tuvin. They were siblings, barely 8 and 10 years old, and their eyes were wide with fear. Their thin arms shook as they held onto each other, trying not to cry. The night wind pulled at their clothes, but they kept moving forward. Ahead of them stood the crashed ship. Their ship. Their home. The vessel lay on its side, half buried in the dirt, with sparks flashing from torn panels. Its once bright silver surface was now scratched, bent, and covered in dust. The soft blue lights that usually glowed along its edges flickered weakly, almost like the ship was breathing its last breaths. Lyra's voice trembled as she whispered, "Tuvin, do you think Mama is inside?" Tuvin swallowed hard. He wanted to be strong for his little sister, but his own heart felt like it would break. He stared at the twisted metal door of the ship, the one their mother had run through right before the explosion. He remembered her turning back, shouting for them to stay behind. He remembered her face, worried, scared, but brave. I don't know," he said softly, "but we have to check. We can't leave without her." Lyra's small fingers gripped his sleeve tightly. "I'm scared." "I know," he answered gently. "I'm scared too." The siblings slowly walked closer. The valley was quiet, except for the crackling of damaged wires. Every now and then, a piece of metal shifted, making a sharp sound that echoed across the rocks. It felt like the whole world was holding its breath. As they reached the base of the ship, they looked up. The ship's side was huge, bigger than any building they had ever seen on their home planet. Now it looked wounded, and the children felt even smaller than before. Tuvin cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted, "Mama, Mama, can you hear us?" His voice bounced around the valley and faded into the wind. No answer. Lyra stepped forward and called out too, her voice shaking. "Mama, please answer us. We're here." Still nothing. The silence made their stomachs twist with fear. Lyra began to cry quietly, her tears cutting paths through the dust on her cheeks. Tuvin put his arm around her and held her close. "Don't cry," he whispered. "Mama is strong. She will be fine." But he wasn't sure. He remembered the alarms, the shaking, the explosion that knocked them off their feet. He remembered the moment their mother pushed them out of the ship's entrance, telling them to run. "Go," she had shouted. "Run, and don't look back." Tuvin hadn't understood why. He still didn't. They stood in front of the broken entrance, where a large piece of metal blocked the doorway. It looked like it could collapse at any moment. Lyra pointed at it. "Tuvin, can we move it?" He pushed against it with all his strength. It didn't budge. It was far too heavy for children. Lyra cried harder. "We can't get inside. Mama might be." "Don't say it," Tuvin said quickly, stopping her. "She's alive. She has to be alive." He looked around desperately for another way in. Behind the ship, the ground sloped upward toward a rocky hill. On the other side was a small maintenance hatch. He remembered it from the times he played near the ship. Maybe it survived the crash. "Come on," he said, pulling Lyra's hand. "I think I know another way." They walked around the ship, their feet crunching on broken pieces of metal. The wind blew ash into their eyes, but they didn't stop. When they finally reached the back of the ship, they gasped. The maintenance hatch was still there, but it was bent and partly open, like something had forced its way out or forced its way in. Tuvin's heart thumped loudly in his chest. He didn't know whether that was a good sign or a bad one. He approached the hatch slowly. "Mama," he called. "Are you inside?" No answer. They crouched and peered inside. It was dark. Too dark. The smell of smoke and something else, something wild, drifted out. Tuvin hesitated. Something about the shadowy interior made him nervous. But Lyra took a small step forward. "We have to go in," she said softly. "Mama needs us." Her bravery surprised him. With a deep breath, he nodded. "Okay. Stay close to me." They crawled into the hatch. The metal was cold beneath their hands, and the darkness surrounded them like thick fog. Lyra gripped Tuvin's shirt tightly as they moved deeper inside. Every sound echoed, their breathing, their footsteps, even the faint tapping of loose wires swinging above them. "Mama?" Lyra called again. "Please, please answer." Suddenly, a loud thump echoed somewhere inside the ship. The children froze. Tuvin whispered, "What was that?" Another thump. "Closer this time." Lyra trembled. Tuvin, "I'm scared." Before Tuvin could answer, a shadow moved at the far end of the narrow corridor. A massive one. The children gasped and stumbled backward. Something was waiting inside the ship. Something big. Something watching them. And whatever it was not their mother. The narrow corridor was filled with smoke and darkness, but the children could still see the shape moving ahead of them. It was huge, far bigger than any creature they had ever seen on their quiet home colony. The shadow shifted again, brushing against dangling wires that sparked as they swung. Lyra let out a small gasp and stumbled back. Tuvin quickly grabbed her arm to steady her, but his own knees were shaking. He wanted to run, yet he couldn't. Their mother was somewhere inside the ship, and running away would mean leaving her behind. "Tuvin," Lyra whispered. What is that?" "I don't know," he whispered back, his voice tight with fear. "Stay behind me." The shadow stepped forward. A deep rumble filled the corridor, low, powerful, almost like a growl. The children felt it through the floor, through their bones. The creature was not just large, it was strong. Maybe stronger than anything the colony guards had ever faced. Tuvin lifted his shaking voice. "HLO? We're not here to hurt anyone. We're looking for our mother." No answer. Only the sound of heavy breathing echoing in the metal walls. The shadow moved again, and now the children could see glowing eyes, bright golden orbs shining in the darkness, like twin suns. Lyra gasped and covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. The creature stepped fully into view. It was massive, nearly filling the width of the passage. Its body was covered in thick, black fur that shimmered strangely under the flickering emergency lights. Its shoulders were broad, its legs powerful. Its tail swayed behind it like a heavy whip. But the most frightening part was its head, a mix of wolf, lion, and something alien. Its jaws were lined with long, curved teeth. Every breath it took came out as a rumbling growl. A guardian beast. Tuvin had heard stories, old tales told by pilots and traders who visited their colony. Some wealthy ships kept elite alien creatures as living security systems. Loyal, intelligent, terrifying. He never believed them. Until now. Lyra clutched his shirt tightly. "Tuvin, it's blocking the way." "I know," he whispered. The beast took one slow, heavy step forward. Its claws clicked against the metal floor. The children automatically stepped back, their hearts racing. "Mama told us to stay outside," Lyra whispered, tears gathering in her eyes. She knew this thing was inside. Tuvin swallowed. No, maybe it was sleeping. Maybe she didn't know. But deep down, he feared Lyra was right. The guardian lowered its head slightly, studying them. Its eyes glowed brighter for a moment, almost like it was scanning them. Then it made another deep growl, not angry but warning. "Do not come closer." The message was clear. "We have to get past it," Tuvin said quietly, though his voice trembled. Lyra shook her head quickly. "Tuvin, we can't. It's too big. It'll hurt us." "We don't know that," he said, trying to stay brave. Maybe it's hurt. Or confused." But as he spoke, the beast lifted its head and released a loud, echoing roar. The sound bounced down the walls, shaking the children to their core. Lyra screamed and covered her ears. Tuvin pulled her into a protective hug, both of them trembling. The beast didn't attack. It simply stood there, blocking the path, refusing to move. After a long moment, the roaring stopped. The guardian stared at them silently, its tail swaying slowly. Then it lowered its head again, not in attack but in warning. Lyra wiped her tears. "Tuvin, I think it's protecting something." Tuvin looked up at the creature. "Protecting? Mama?" The idea hit him hard. If their mother had run into the ship before the explosion, if she had gone deeper inside, then the guardian beast was doing its job. No one enters. No one passes. No one reaches the one it protects. Tuvin's heart pounded. We have to tell it. We have to show we're not dangerous. Very slowly, he lifted both hands in the air to show he had no weapons. His arms shook, but he didn't lower them. We're her children, he said softly. We want to help her. Please, please let us through. The guardians stared at them, unblinking. A long silence passed. Then the beast stepped forward again. This time, it didn't roar. Instead, it sniffed the air near them. Its warm breath washed over the children, making them shiver. It leaned close to Tuvin, so close that he could see his reflection in its golden eyes. Lyra whimpered, but Tuvin held out a shaky hand, just a few inches, not touching, not threatening. For a heartbeat, the guardian didn't react. Then, it growled sharply and shoved its massive paw against the metal floor, sending sparks flying. Lyra cried out and grabbed Tuvin's arm. It's angry. Tuvin, it won't let us near Mama. Tuvin pulled her away, retreating down the corridor. The guardian took a step forward, blocking the path completely. Its message was louder than a roar. Turn back. Go away. You shall not pass. The children stumbled back through the hatch, falling onto the rocky ground outside. Their hearts raced, and Lyra burst into tears again. Tuvin, what do we do? Mama is inside. Tuvin stared at the dark hatch, where the golden eyes still glowed like burning suns. I don't know, he whispered, but we need help. He looked out across the valley, and in the distance, someone was walking toward the crash site. The children sat on the rocky ground near the broken hatch, still shaking from what had just happened. The wind howled through the valley, carrying the smell of smoke from the damaged ship. Lyra wiped her eyes again and again, but the tears kept coming. Tuvin tried to look brave, but his face stayed pale. Inside the ship, those golden eyes still glowed in the darkness, watching the opening without blinking. The guardian beast did not chase them. It simply stood in the corridor like a living stone wall. Lyra hugged her knees, whispering, Why won't it let us in? Mama needs us. Tuvin didn't answer right away. His mind raced with fear and confusion. The creature was huge and dangerous, but it didn't attack. It only blocked the way, like it was guarding something very important. We need to think, he said finally. That beast isn't just wild. It's trained. I think it has orders. Orders? Lyra sniffed. From who? Tuvin looked up at the ship. The metal panels were cracked and bent, but this vessel had been their home for years. Their mother wasn't just a pilot. She was the security chief. She handled the codes, the defense systems, the crew safety. She had authority. She could have told it something, Tuvin whispered. Maybe before the explosion. He remembered the moment before everything went wrong. Their mother had rushed into the ship's main hallway, shouting at them to stay back. She had turned on a security panel and entered a code so quickly he barely saw it. Then the alarm started. The ground shook. Sparks flew. She had cried out. Stay outside. Don't come in. Tuvin swallowed hard. Maybe she wasn't trying to protect them from the explosion. Maybe she was trying to protect them from something inside the ship. Lyra trembled. But Mama would never tell a creature to hurt us. No, Tuvin said softly. She told it to protect her. And part of that order is to let no one inside. No matter who they are. Lyra's eyes widened. Not even us? Not even us, Tuvin answered sadly. He knew it was true. The colony had strict rules for guardian beasts. They were loyal, powerful, and completely obedient to their owner's last command. If their mother had activated it right before the explosion, the beast would follow her final instruction perfectly, no matter the danger, no matter the cost. Beyond the hatch, something moved again. The golden eyes shifted, watching them closely. The beast did not growl this time, but its gaze was tight and serious. Lyra covered her mouth. Tuvin, I think it's waiting. Waiting for what? He whispered. She shook her head. I don't know, but it doesn't want us to go inside. It won't let us. Tuvin looked away. His chest hurt, and he felt helpless. How could two children get past a creature that big? How could they reach their mother? The valley was growing colder as night began to settle. The shadows stretched long across the rocks. The children huddled together for warmth, even though fear kept their bodies shaking. Suddenly, Lyra tugged on Tuvin's sleeve. "Look, someone's coming." Tuvin turned quickly. In the distance, walking slowly across the rocky ground, was a tall figure. At first, it looked like a shadow, but as it came closer, the moonlight revealed a human shape. The person was wearing a long coat that flapped in the wind. A bag hung from one shoulder. He walked with calm steps, not running, not afraid. Tuvin narrowed his eyes. "Who is that?" "I don't know," Lyra whispered. The figure finally reached them. He was a man, human, tall and strong, with dirt on his clothes as if he had been traveling for many days. His eyes were calm but serious. He looked at the children and then at the broken ship behind them. "You two shouldn't be here alone," he said gently. "This crash, it wasn't small." Tuvin stood in front of Lyra protectively. "Who are you?" The man gave a small nod. "My name is Jarrow. I saw the smoke from far away and came to help." "What happened here?" Lyra spoke first, her voice trembling. "Our ship crashed. Our mother, she ran inside. We can't reach her. Something is inside." Jarrow's eyes narrowed with concern. "Something?" "A guardian beast," Tuvin said. "It won't let us pass." At those words, something changed in the man's expression. Not fear, understanding. He looked at the hatch. "If there is a guardian, it means she gave a command before the explosion." Tuvin stepped closer. "Do you know how to stop it?" Jarrow didn't answer at once. He moved toward the hatch slowly, peering inside. The golden eyes appeared again in the darkness, watching him just as they had watched the children. Jarrow didn't flinch. He whispered, almost to himself, "Yes, this one is loyal. Very loyal." Lyra grabbed his coat sleeve. "Please, can you help us get to Mama?" Jarrow looked down at her small, shaking hands. Then he placed his large hand gently on her shoulder. "I will try," he said softly. "But guardian beasts do not break their orders easily. They obey until the very end." He looked into the hatch again, meeting the creature's glowing eyes. "It won't move unless I find out what order your mother gave and why." The children exchanged frightened looks. What could their mother have known? What danger was inside that ship? And why had she sealed it with a beast that even her own children could not pass? Jarrow stood at the edge of the broken hatch, staring into the dark corridor where the guardian beast waited like a silent shadow. The golden eyes never left him. They shone with intelligence, warning, and something deeper, loyalty. The children clung to each other behind him. Lyra hid partly behind Tuvin, peeking out only enough to see Jarrow's back. She whispered, "Do you think he can help us?" Tuvin swallowed hard. "I hope so." Jarrow kneeled slightly and picked up a small piece of metal from the ground. He turned it over in his hand thoughtfully, examining the scorch marks on it. "Your ship didn't just crash," he murmured. "This damage, it looks like something attacked it." The children looked at each other in fear. "What do you mean?" Tuvin asked. Jarrow pointed to the dents along the ship's side. These marks weren't made by falling. They were made by claws. Large claws. Lyra's breath caught. Claws? But the guardian is inside. Why would it scratch the outside? Jarrow shook his head. These weren't from the guardian. Something else was here. He tossed the metal aside and stood. The calm way he spoke made the children trust him even more, though fear still gnawed at their hearts. Tuvin tugged on Jarrow's coat. "Please, sir. Our mother went inside to save us. She didn't come out." Jarrow looked down at him, his expression softening. "What's your mother's name?" "Captain Rena," Tuvin said. Jarrow froze. "Captain Rena?" he repeated slowly, as if the name meant something to him. "Yes," Lyra said. "Do you know her?" Jarrow hesitated, then nodded. "I've heard of her. Brave. Skilled. Always put others first." Tuvin's eyes shimmered with hope. "Then you'll help us?" Jarrow placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. "I'll do everything I can." He turned back toward the hatch. The guardian beast remained still, only its eyes moving. Jero raised both hands slowly, palms open. "I'm not your enemy," he said calmly. "I only wish to help." The guardian blinked once, its golden eyes dimming slightly before glowing again. Jero took a cautious step closer. The beast did not growl, but its body tensed. "It knows me," Jero whispered. The children gasped. "Knows you?" "Not me," Jero corrected quietly. "My kind."
He pointed at his own chest.
"Humans." Tuvin frowned. "Why would it know humans?" "Many guardian species do," Jero explained. "We've trained them for centuries. They can sense us. Some are loyal to us, some fear us. But above all, they respect us." Tuvin blinked, surprised. Lyra looked at Jero with new curiosity. Jero crouched near the hatch, keeping his voice steady and slow. "Listen, you two. Guardian beasts follow orders until those orders are completed, or until their master confirms a new command. Your mother must have told it to block this path, no matter what." Lyra's tears returned. "But Mama would never tell it to block us." "She didn't," Jero replied gently. "She told it to protect her. And that command now covers everything, including stopping anyone from reaching her." Tuvin clenched his fists. "Then tell it to move." Jero sighed. "Only its master can change the order, or someone it recognizes as lawful authority." Tuvin stepped forward. "Like who?" Jero stood and pointed to the beast. "Some guardians can be overridden by high-ranking officers. Humans trained with them can sometimes issue temporary commands. And I was trained with them." The children's eyes widened. "So you can control it?" Lyra whispered. Jero shook his head. "Not control. But I can speak to it. I can try." He took another slow step toward the hatch. The guardian suddenly lifted its head and growled. Low, warning, powerful. Jero stopped. "It's frightened," he whispered. Lyra's voice trembled. "Frightened? But it's so big." "Size doesn't protect the heart," Jero murmured. "It's protecting your mother. It thinks she's hurt, or in danger, so it won't let anyone near." Tuvin looked inside the ship, fear knotting in his stomach. "Then she really is in trouble." Jero turned to him. "Most likely, yes. But she's alive. I can feel it. Guardians mourn loudly when their masters die. This one is silent." The children's hearts lifted a little. Jero looked at the beast again. "Guardians defend until their final breath. Your mother trusted it. That means something very dangerous is deeper inside the ship." He stepped back from the hatch. "We need a different approach," he said. "We can't go in through this entrance. It will never move." Tuvin's voice cracked. "But then how do we reach Mama?" Jero pointed toward the side of the ship. "There is another way. A control room below the engine core. Most guardians aren't trained to guard every access path, only the primary one." Lyra's eyes widened. "You mean we can go around it?" "Maybe," Jero said. "If the ship systems still work, we can scan for life signs. We can also locate your mother's exact position." Tuvin stood straighter. "Then let's go." Jero nodded. "Stay close. Don't touch anything unless I say." As they walked along the side of the ship, Lyra suddenly asked, "Jero, why are you really helping us?" He stopped for a moment. His eyes softened, filled with something old, something heavy. "Because," he said finally, "many years ago, someone saved me the same way your mother saved you." He placed his hand on the ship's cold surface. "And now it's my turn to help." The ground grew steeper as Jero led the children around the damaged side of the ship. Smoke still drifted from cracks in the hull, and the metal groaned now and then, as if the vessel were breathing painfully. Lyra held onto Tuvin's arm tightly, afraid of slipping. Tuvin kept glancing back toward the hatch, where the guardian beast still watched with glowing eyes. Jero stopped at a torn section of the ship's underside. "This way," he said softly. "This is where the maintenance tunnels begin." The children peered into the narrow passage. It was dark, cold, and filled with dangling wires that sparked faintly. Tuvin swallowed nervously. "Are you sure this is safe?" "No," Jero said honestly. "But it's the only way." They crawled inside one by one. The metal floor was uneven under their hands, and every movement echoed through the hollow ship. Lyra stayed directly behind Jero, trusting his steady steps. Tuvin followed behind her, trying his best not to show how frightened he was. When they reached the end of the tunnel, Jero pushed open a small hatch door. It creaked loudly, making Lyra flinch. Beyond the door was a cramped room filled with flashing red lights and humming machines. "We're under the engine core," Jero said. "From here, I can try to access the ship's control panel." Tuvin looked around nervously. "But everything is broken." "Not everything," Jero said as he knelt beside a damaged console. "Ships like this, they're built to survive disasters. Some systems keep running even if the rest of the ship is falling apart." Lyra tugged on his sleeve. Can you find Mama from here?" Jero gave her a kind look. "I'll try." He pulled out a small device from his coat pocket, a human-made handheld scanner. It looked old, scratched, and burned around one side. But when he flipped a switch, a soft blue light glowed on its screen. He pressed it against the console, and lines of data flickered to life. The children leaned in, holding their breath. "There," Jero whispered. "Life signs." Lyra's heart leapt. "Mama?" Jero nodded slowly.
Yes.
One adult, inside the central chamber. Tuvin grinned through tears. "She's alive." But Jero's expression didn't match their joy. His brow tightened, and his hand shook slightly as he read the next line of information. "Something else," he murmured. The children froze. "What?" Tuvin asked. Jero turned the scanner so they could see the screen. A second life sign. Large. Very large. Not human. Lyra covered her mouth. "But the Guardian is in the hallway." "It can't be that." "It isn't," Jero said quietly. "This one is deeper in the ship. Near your mother." Tuvin stepped back, fear tightening his chest. "Then, Mama is trapped with it." Jero didn't answer, because they all knew the truth. Lyra whimpered. "We have to help her. Please." Jero placed a comforting hand on her head. "We will. But listen carefully. The beast you saw at the entrance wasn't blocking you because it wanted to hurt you." Tuvin blinked. "Then why?" Jero took a slow breath. "Because it was protecting her from the creature inside the central chamber." Silence hit them like a wave. Lyra's lip trembled. "Mama didn't tell us anything about this." "She didn't have time," Jero said gently. "But she knew something dangerous boarded the ship. That's why she sent you outside before the explosion." Tuvin's voice cracked. "But what is it? What kind of creature?" Jero looked toward the corridor leading deeper into the ship. Something strong enough to damage the hull from the inside. Something fast enough to move past the Guardian before it fully activated. Lyra shook even more. "Mama is alone with it." "No," Jero corrected softly. "She's alive because the Guardian trapped the creature in the central chamber. Captain Rena sealed herself in with it to stop it from escaping." The children stared in horror. Their mother had walked into danger on purpose, to protect them. Lyra fell to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Mama, why would she do that?" Tuvin knelt beside her, pulling her into a hug. His voice broke. "Because she loves us more than anything." Jero placed a hand on the console again. "And she trusted the Guardian to keep you out. She didn't want you anywhere near this thing." "But we have to help her," Tuvin cried. "And we will," Jero said firmly. "But we must be smart. That creature is still alive. If we rush in, it could hurt all of us." He scanned the room quickly. "There's an access vent that leads directly above the chamber. If we can reach it, we might get a look inside." Tuvin stood up, wiping his tears. "Then show us. We're ready." Jero met his determined eyes and nodded. "All right. But promise me one thing. No matter what you see, no matter what happens, you stay behind me." Lyra squeezed Tuvin's hand. "We promise." Jero opened another hatch door leading into a narrow ladder shaft. The air inside was cold and filled with echoes. He looked back at the children. "Your mother is fighting for her life," he said quietly. "And now we're going to fight for her." The children nodded, fear and bravery mixing inside their hearts. Together, they climbed into the darkness. The wind around the crash site grew colder as the sun disappeared behind the fractured mountains. The children huddled close to the human, their small hands gripping his coat like it was the only safe thing left in the world. The enormous guardian beast stood between them and the ship's broken entrance, its four glowing eyes never blinking, never looking away. Jalen, the human traveler, felt the weight of the moment pressing on his chest. The children had told him everything. Their mother was inside, injured, maybe dying, and yet the guardian refused to move. It had been ordered to protect her, but in its blind loyalty, it was stopping the very ones she loved from reaching her. The creature growled again, a deep, vibrating sound that shook the dust beneath their feet. The children flinched. Jalen didn't. He took a slow step forward. "Easy," he whispered. "I'm not here to hurt anyone." The guardian lowered its body, muscles tensing like coiled ropes ready to strike. Jalen raised his hands in peace. He knew one wrong move could end everything. But he also knew the children were out of options. Behind him, Leary, the oldest girl, suddenly began to cry. She pressed her forehead against Jalen's back. "Please, please help us," she whispered. "Mama needs us. She needs us now." The sound of her trembling voice made Jalen's heart twist. He had no family of his own anymore, but these kids needed someone. And right now, that someone was him. He slowly crouched and picked up the small crystal pendant the youngest boy had dropped earlier. It was cracked but still glowing, a soft, warm light that pulsed in a gentle rhythm. The children had told him their mother used this pendant to call them during storms, guiding them home. Maybe it could guide the guardian too. Jalen stood and held the glowing pendant toward the beast. For the first time, the creature's growl stopped. Its eyes flickered. Its head tilted slightly, confused. "That's right," Jalen said softly. "You know this light, don't you?" The guardian sniffed the air. Its enormous body relaxed a little. Encouraged, Jalen took another step. The children gasped. "Don't," one of them cried. "It will attack." Jalen shook his head slowly. "Not this time." He moved closer. The guardian's breath was hot and heavy, pushing dust away from the ground with every exhale. Its claws were larger than Jalen's head. But he didn't turn back. He didn't break eye contact. Then something unexpected happened. The guardian lowered its head. Not in aggression. In recognition. Its glowing eyes softened. The creature leaned forward, touching the pendant with the tip of its nose. A low, sorrowful sound came from its throat, almost like a whine. Jalen understood. "You're worried," he whispered. "You're afraid to fail her." The creature blinked slowly, as if answering. Jalen placed a gentle hand on its massive snout. The children watched with wide eyes filled with awe and disbelief. "She trusted you," Jalen continued. "Enough to leave you guarding the ship. But she would never want you to keep her own children away. She needs them, and she needs help." The guardian's ears twitched. Its four eyes turned toward the children. Leary took a hesitant step forward. She raised her tiny hand and held it out. "It's okay," she said softly. "Mama loves you too. You don't need to stop us." The guardian made a deep, rumbling sound.
It wasn't a growl this time. It almost sounded sad.
Slowly, painfully, the creature stepped aside. The children cried out in relief, rushing forward to hug the beast's leg. It didn't push them away. It simply stood there, letting them hold it, letting their small hands rest on its cold, armored skin. Jalen stepped beside them and gave the guardian a grateful nod. "Thank you." The creature bowed its head. The entrance to the ship was cracked open, smoke drifting out in thin gray streams. Sparks popped from broken wires. The interior lights flickered weakly like dying stars. The children gathered at the doorway, afraid to go in without the human. Jalen took the lead. "Stay close," he said. "Hold hands and don't wander." Inside, the ship was darker than he expected. The hulls were twisted, metal bent from the crash. Panels were smashed. Strange alien symbols glowed faintly on the walls. Every step echoed like a whisper in a tomb. "Where's Mama?" the youngest boy cried softly. Leary swallowed hard. She should be in the core room, that's where she was working. They moved through the corridor slowly. Jalen kept the pendant raised, its light guiding them forward. After a few minutes, they reached a sealed door. Red warning lights blinked around its edges. "This is it," Leary said, voice shaking. Jalen pressed a hand to the door. It was warm, too warm. "Stand back," he said. He forced the door open with all his strength. Metal screeched. Heat hit them like smoke from a fire. Inside the room, they finally saw her. Their mother. Collapsed on the floor, barely conscious, surrounded by shattered equipment and flickering energy cores. "Mama," the children screamed. Jalen rushed forward, checking her pulse. It was weak. "We found her," he whispered, "but she needs help fast." The children fell to their knees, crying and holding her hands. Behind them, the guardian entered quietly, eyes filled with guilt and worry. The barrier was broken, but the real danger was only beginning. The children knelt beside their mother, tears running down their faces as they touched her cheeks, her hands, her hair. Their mother, pale and barely conscious, slowly opened her eyes. When she saw them, a weak smile formed on her lips, trembling but full of love. "My little stars," she whispered. You found me." Her voice was soft and broken, like someone speaking through a storm. The children cried harder and hugged her gently, afraid to hurt her. Jalen knelt beside them, checking her wounds. She was bleeding from her side, and strange glowing marks spread across her skin like cracks of light. The crash had hurt her far more than she let on. The room hummed with unstable energy. The broken machines around her pulsed with faint blue sparks. "You're going to be okay," he said softly. "We're here now. We'll get you out." But their mother slowly shook her head. "No," she whispered, struggling to breathe. "Listen to me. You must leave the ship. All of you." The children froze.
What?
"No," Leary cried. "We just reached you. We won't leave you." Their mother reached out with a shaking hand and touched Leary's cheek. "I love you more than anything. But the ship, the core, is unstable. It will collapse soon. If you stay, it will take all of us." Jalen felt his stomach tighten. He could hear the energy core crackling louder behind them. The walls trembled. Smoke drifted down like falling snow. He looked at her. There must be a way to shut it down. She shook her head again. The crash damaged the stabilizers. The overload cannot be stopped. The Guardian was ordered to protect you, to keep you away so you would survive. Jalen understood now. The creature wasn't trying to stop them out of cruelty. It was following her final command. Protect the children. Keep them away from the danger inside. The mother reached for her youngest son, who was crying so hard he could barely speak. "My brave little one," she brushed her fingers through his hair. "You must go with the human. He will keep you safe." The Guardian stepped closer, its large shadow falling over all of them. The mother looked at it with tired, grateful eyes. "You have served me well," she told the beast. "But now, you must protect them, not this ship." The creature lowered its head in a deep bow. A low, emotional sound came from its throat, almost like a goodbye. Suddenly, the floor shook violently. A bright crack of energy tore through one of the walls. Jalen grabbed the children, pulling them back from falling debris. "We're out of time," he shouted. "No!" Leary cried, pushing forward to cling to her mother again. "We won't leave without you. We can carry you." Their mother smiled sadly and touched her face again. "You are strong, but even together, you cannot outrun what's coming." She reached into her damaged uniform and pulled out a small glowing sphere. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. "This is my memory core," she said. "My stories, my voice, my songs, everything. Take it with you. So, I may still guide you." Jalen hesitated, then took the sphere carefully. It felt warm, alive. "Help them remember who they are," she whispered to him. "And tell them I was proud." The children cried harder. The rumbling grew louder. The ship was beginning to collapse. "Please," their mother whispered. "Go." Jalen grabbed Leary's shoulders. We have to move.
Now.
No, Mama, and no, she screamed, trying to pull away, but the guardian gently wrapped its huge body around her and the other children, guiding them back toward the door. Their mother watched them with shining eyes filled with love and sorrow. My stars, she whispered. Keep shining. The doorframe collapsed behind them as Jalen and the guardian forced their way out, dragging the children to safety. The hallway shook violently. Sparks exploded from the ceiling. Jalen shielded the children with his body as they ran through the smoke-filled corridors. When they finally burst through the cracked entrance and fell onto the ground outside, the children turned back. The ship glowed bright, too bright. Mama, they screamed together. Jalen wrapped his arms around them as the guardian lowered its body to shield them. A deafening roar filled the air. Light shot upward like a rising star.
Then, boom.
The ship collapsed inward, a soft, blinding explosion that turned into a silent wave of light. The crash site trembled. Dust rose into the sky. And then silence. The children stared at the now empty crater, tears streaming down their faces. Their mother was gone, but her memory core pulsed gently in Jalen's hands, casting a soft glow in the dark. Leary leaned against him, shaking. She saved us, Leary whispered. She loved you more than anything, Jalen answered softly. The guardian sat beside them, eyes lowered in grief. Jalen looked at the children, 3 small lives now without a mother, alone in a vast and dangerous world. Except they weren't alone. He placed the memory core into Leary's hands. Your mother left you her light, he said, and I'll help you follow it. The children looked up at him, their eyes full of tears, but also hope. Together, with the guardian standing beside them, they began a new journey under the quiet stars. A journey their mother had trusted them to continue.